Welcome back to Retail Therapy on the Sunday Scaries podcast feed. I'm your host, Will DeFries, my co-host, Barrett Dudley. Welcome. How you doing today, Barrett?
I'm doing all right. Just enjoying our intro track. That's an unreleased version of a Kanye song that they showed off in Genius, right?
It feels like it.
Yeah?
It feels like it.
I'm pretty sure that's one of those soulful samples that he was so known for in the year 2002.
Be careful. I have not gone in yet on the Kanye documentary yet. I've been waiting. Is part 3 out yet?
No, I do not think so. Part 2 just came out. I actually haven't watched part 2 yet either. But no, I don't think the whole thing's out yet.
I'm operating solely when they're all out. I want to be able to binge them on a casual Sunday, maybe even a Saturday, and watch them back to back to back.
Yeah,
it might be a lot of content to take in.
That is a lot of content back to back to back. But you could.
I want the option.
Yeah.
I don't want to get through part 2 and then just be like, I want to watch part 3 right now.
Right. Yeah. That's how I'm approaching 2 and 3. I'll knock out the second and third at the same time.
Well, I know you're a Maisel guy too, and it's killing me that they're just doing 2-episode releases every week.
Dude, I had no idea about that. And yes, I'm a Maisel guy, and I get upset. Netflix is usually like the biggest culprit when it comes to this type of like just like dropping things without ever even mentioning it.
Yeah.
But there's been no press whatsoever for Maisel season 4. I didn't even know it was about to drop, and boom, here it is all of a sudden. What's happening to my girl? Like,
only press that I saw for it was like the day before.
They putting her like on the top shelf. Like is she getting sidelined?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I saw a lot of promotion for it like the Thursday before it all came out, but it kind of surprised me. I was like, how did I not know this months in advance that this was going to be out? I even follow, I think, several cast members on Instagram and stuff like that, and I still feel like I didn't see that much.
Yeah, that's it feels like something's going on, and I don't know what it is, but I'm also looking forward to jumping back into the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
I'm 3 episodes in. I have not yet watched all 4, so I'm very pleased with how the season has gone so far. Anytime I can see Abe on the screen is a good day.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what Retail Therapy is, if you're just a normal Sunday Scaries listener, and you're like, why are there 4 random episodes with these 2 dudes on my feed? To be honest, I'm not really sure what this quite yet. I think what it's turned into is a lot of the common interests that Barrett and I have. This is a place for us to just discuss them. Talk about recent trends that have popped up. Maybe discuss some things that we want to buy that we can't afford, but we're trying to justify it. It could be anything. If you missed last week's episode, we talked a lot about skincare, things like that. Our first episode, we talked about old people just dressing dope.
A lot of what's happening like culturally as well, and not necessarily pop culture, although entertainment and all that type of stuff and celebrity is obviously in play, but just like what is happening socially. Like,
why are all the low bowls sold out at Crate and Barrel?
Right.
Like, why does my rice pilaf dish with some chicken on top taste better out of this low bowl?
Yes.
We answer the questions that some people just don't have the guts to answer.
Yeah. And we're just breaking news that was broken not by us, like smoking's back, that type of thing.
Yeah, cigs are definitely back. If you're enjoying it, let us know. Any feedback, any positive stuff, leave a review. I don't care how you get to us. You can DM either one of us on Instagram, and we just want to hear the feedback. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/washmedia. That definitely just differentiates this from the Sunday Scaries feed, which doesn't have video currently. But if you want to go check this out, Barrett does a lot of tinkering on the screen when it comes to bringing certain things up.
Yeah, I'm tinkering right now.
He's just a tinker guy. And youtube.com/washmedia. Go subscribe. But without further ado, let's dive into a little food talk. I know we did some low bowl talk a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
But overall, we haven't really dabbled that much in food. And luckily for us, somebody I think that everyone loves has all this suddenly gotten very into food, Kenny G.
Yeah. Speaking of documentaries, did you watch his documentary?
No, I need to.
I need to watch that one too.
And we have a Larry David documentary. All these guys are just getting documentaries put out, and I have yet to dip into any of them.
You hit like 60 years old, and people are just ready to doc you up.
It's great.
And I'm here for that. I definitely need to check out the Kenny G documentary. But yeah, Kenny G here is talking to GQ about learning to cook when he got divorced. Basically, had to set an example for his 14-year-old son.
I feel like that's a common occurrence once you get divorced.
Maybe, but I just felt I needed to read about what Kenny was doing in the kitchen because I'm head chef at my house.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
See, I'm a sous chef through and through. I think I could be a head chef, but Sally is definitely the alpha when it comes to the kitchen.
Okay.
So I take a back seat and I just kind of do the cleanup after her. If she wants me, I've really gotten into a terrible mode where I am the open the meat package and pat it dry guy. And I don't want to be that person at this point.
You don't wash chicken, do you?
No.
Okay, you're not. That is. Some headlines popped up recently, like here's why you shouldn't wash your chicken, and I'm begging anybody that has been washing chicken, don't do that.
No.
What? Don't put all the salmonella in your sink, man.
Yeah, like what? And also, like I'm cooking it, so I don't need to wash it before I cook it.
Yeah, it's not an apple. You don't need to run it under the faucet.
The two takeaways that I had from Kenny G were, one, he eats Japanese food for breakfast, which is something that I actually identify with more than I thought I would, and that he is incredibly passionate about a reverse seared steak.
Yeah. Yes. The Japanese, just to touch on the Japanese breakfast, in love with that. It feels very on brand for my man Kenny G. But also, if you've never, you know what the best part of fried rice is, right? It's like the egg. And
yeah. When you see the clump of egg, you're always trying to get that on your spoon before the other stuff.
Yes. And I feel it took me a while to like realize that. It was probably actually, 12 years ago at Benihana or whatever, when I watched them like fry some eggs and then do the whole thing.
It wasn't at your backyard?
It was not at my personal hibachi party, although Houston is way ahead of us there, according to all of my friends. Everybody's just having a hibachi party. We got to have one here soon.
I think backyard hibachi parties, I think Houston's going to end up being the ground zero for this, and it's going to spread out all from Houston to everything else.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone on Instagram, and Barrett noted this before, everyone on Instagram is doing backyard hibachi parties.
I'm dying. Yeah, so I'm dying to have a backyard hibachi party and have them cook up some egg in the fried rice. My point being, egg goes really well with rice, and so like that type of Japanese breakfast where you get a little bit of that, salty umami and that the rice flavor along with the egg, beautiful stuff. The steak is what stood out to me as well, because to listen to Kenny G or to read Kenny G telling you how he cooks a steak, it's just not a description you're going to get from anybody except for like a 60-year-old jazz musician who's worth like $500 million or whatever.
It's just beautiful. And like, there's nothing that revolutionary about what he says about cooking a steak. Like, as someone who has very much cooked most of his steaks indoors for his entire life, I like to grill steaks too, but convenience being in an apartment, you have to do it inside. Nothing he said is totally revolutionary, but it's all spot on. And it made me want a steak. It made me want to even put some steak over some rice and just eat it out of a low bowl.
I mean, that does sound incredible, but he just casually tosses out that you need to order your steaks from Snake River Farms.
Did you look up how much those steaks were?
I've got them up right now. He points out I think, what does he say he buys, a Manhattan or a New York?
The Manhattan. I believe he said the Manhattan filet.
But so I'm not. I see New York. And that's where we'll go. New York strip's one of my favorite cuts. Minimum here, we're talking $50
for one single steak.
I think that's for one steak.
I mean, that's a nice steakhouse price.
Yes, exactly. That's a hefty sum for a piece of meat, which then you have to cook, ideally in your skillet with lots of butter, garlic, oil, and a reverse sear.
I don't know what it says about me, and I like a good steak as much as anybody. I have never gone into the high-end luxury steak side of things because I'm too afraid that I will ruin it.
Mess it up, yeah. And
that's unfortunate for me. I just don't think that... I think that I could do it and it would end up being very, very good. But I just don't want to run into a situation where I decide to spring for something. I could see myself doing it around like New Year's Eve and being like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's get 2 really nice cuts of steak for tonight. And then suddenly I just smoke out my apartment and burn the steaks on the reverse sear.
So I felt... pretty much the same way when I lived in an apartment and would have to cook a steak inside.
Mm-hmm.
I've basically my 8 years in an apartment essentially has me. Man, I cannot. My verb tenses are all out of whack today. I don't know what's happening. I basically had to swear off cast iron because I was not using it properly, or my pan wasn't seasoned or whatever, but like I would set the smoke alarm off every single time I tried to use it.
It's hard not to. It's if you're doing the in-apartment steak, it's for me, it's mostly about having the hood that just absolutely sucks it out of there. Our new place is great. We have a great kitchen and I love cooking in it.
Yeah.
The one thing that is not the best is the hood and it doesn't suck the smoke out like it used to. And it's
Yeah.
completely rendered trying to do a steak in our apartment useless. We can't really do it anymore without causing a major ruckus for our neighbors. And so it's been a sad time, but my red meat consumption has gone far, far down.
My red meat consumption is pretty low these days as well. But now that I do have access to, an outdoor propane grill, I do every once in a while cook a steak. And now I'm not going as like high end as our man's Kenny G here, although I do really appreciate the fact that he is just pouring over this skillet in front of him, just basting and basting and basting. It's a labor of love for Kenny. But when you do cook steaks on a grill, it is important to get good steaks. And I usually just go to like Central Markets or Whole Food and pick something reasonable, but good, usually like a New York strip or something like that. And then here's a quick plug. Just Google Bobby Flay perfect steak.
Is that the move?
That's his recipe, perfectly grilled steak recipe from the Food Network will come up. It's super simple, but it's really, really good and very, very easy, which is key. It's almost foolproof.
That's like when people ask me, like, okay, because I talk about duck a lot. It was a major part of last week's Sunday Digest. I just enjoy a good piece of duck. I had duck for dinner on Saturday. But a lot of people ask me, like, how do you cook it? And I'm like, just Google Gordon Ramsay, watch him cook a duck breast, and that it's exactly how you do it. It works every single time, and we have only messed it up one time, and it's because we had the oven on way too hot, and we messed up. But overall, like, I don't see any shame in learning how to cook from YouTube chefs who are doing it better than I could ever figure out myself.
Yeah, it's a great resource for exactly that. And if you do that, you'll be using the exact same method as Kenny G. So
I might be copying Kenny G on several fronts because as someone who doesn't like a traditional breakfast, I've never been like a bacon and eggs guy. Something about eggs alone it doesn't freak me out, but it just makes me feel a little uneasy sometimes, a little over easy sometimes. Sorry. And then, but I don't like just having eggs on a plate.
Yeah.
So if I could start mixing that with some rice and some other stuff that might not be traditional breakfast food. What I'm saying is that I want to normalize other foods for breakfast, much like Kenny G is trying to do right now. He's trying to eat some salmon over a bed of rice, and I love that idea. I also found it very interesting that he compared himself to an athlete of sorts. When it comes to choosing what food to eat before a performance, he eats the same thing, something in the Japanese vein, because he knows how his body will react to eating salmon and rice, as opposed to, as he said, like, shouldn't have experimented with that jalapeno. And I was like, yep, Kenny's definitely had a bad performance because of some jalapenos at some point in his life.
Look, if you're about to get on stage and spend 90 minutes blowing into a horn instrument, maybe nothing too spicy beforehand. Just seems like common sense to me.
Like, if he gets a little sniffle, is he just devastated before a performance?
Probably.
For me, it's like, whatever. People are just going to notice that I have a little sniffle on the mic.
I also just Kenny G overall, he's got the documentary on HBO Max. He feels like he's having a late career renaissance as just kind of like a cool guy icon. And now after reading about how he cooks steaks and eats Japanese breakfast, and that if you eat his steak, everybody that has ever eaten his steak, he says it's the best one they've ever had. This guy has just rocketed straight to the top of my, how people are like, pick 3 people to come to your dinner party or whatever.
Yeah.
Kenny G's like got to be top 5 now.
He might be there. And like Kenny G, I think, has probably more stories than most people have because, I mean, if you remember, he was the one who was playing saxophone for Kim Kardashian on like her birthday or Valentine's Day or something. Kanye just had him just sitting in their living room playing sax. I was like, yeah. He's probably rubbed elbows with some very interesting celebrity A-listers, and he's probably got a lot of stories about them that we will never, ever hear.
Yeah, I imagine that's correct.
In the same food vein, I did something, Barrett, that I meant to talk about last time we met last week. I did a juice cleanse when I had COVID. Have you ever done a cleanse of any sorts?
No.
This is the first time I've really like gone all in on doing it. It was a 48-hour juice cleanse, which in the grand scheme of things really does nothing for your actual well-being.
I didn't even know that you could do that short of a juice cleanse.
I don't think you can, but I just drank juice for 2 straight days, and it was a very weird experience. Like, doing it during COVID was something that I didn't expect my body to crave, but when I saw that it was available and it was half off and I could get it within 40 minutes, I thought to myself, what better time to just fill my body with like actual fluids at a time when I'm already dehydrated. I've always wanted to do a 48-hour juice cleanse just to kind of like detoxify something, just get rid of some stuff in my stomach, which it worked on that front, maybe a little too much. But it was just a very weird experience. And now I'm starting to do these juice shots every day. And I don't know if they do anything to me, but I'm just addicted to them.
What's the flavor of your juice shot? What's it?
It could be anything from like a lemon cayenne to today I did an elderberry, which always seems to very much create some what would the word be? It causes a bit of a battle in my stomach, which is a good and bad thing because I think it does kind of get rid of some stuff that I don't want in there. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want that to arrive at the wrong time.
Is it kind of like, does it give you the same feeling as when you take a bear fight shot?
What's a bear fight shot again? I remember hearing this and then just being like, no, I don't want that ever again.
I actually can't remember. But listening to you describe the sensation of having an elderberry shot made me think of a bear fight shot.
It's just, I'm a juice guy now. The amount of sugar that I'm taking in is just through the roof. But as I told Sally when I was doing it during COVID, or when I was kind of, sitting around doing nothing during COVID, I was like, I know there's a lot of sugar in here, but I'm really getting zero nutrients from anything else but juice at this point. So like, I don't think I can complain about having too much sugar or else my body might just literally shut down today.
Yeah. Look, if you look up the sugar content of fruit, basically, you're going to be kind of blown away.
Yes.
But it's naturally occurring, and that's what makes it like better than refined additive sugar, essentially.
If I'm eating a banana and someone tells me that there's a lot of sugar in that banana, I might not physically roll my eyes, but my eyes are rolling into the back of my head, just judging you so much. I'm like, it's a banana. It's a banana. I just want to have a banana for breakfast. I'm sorry. A lot of potassium.
So do you have a juice cleanse like all queued up for like, when you get home this weekend?
No, I might need to do, I should probably do it like before pool season hits. I think I did kind of like cut a little, the one thing I did notice is I cut a lot of bloat that I was having.
Okay.
Like I felt like, even though it's probably because I wasn't eating a lot of food, but my stomach was so flat compared to how it normally is after I did the juice cleanse. And it wasn't like I was in pain or anything like that. I felt like I had just had COVID, so I had not as much energy, but it got rid of a lot of like puffiness and bloat that I was feeling, which was probably the best part of it. I'm not sure I'll do it again anytime soon because 2 days was kind of difficult.
Yep.
Day 1 was easy. Day 2 was just terrible. Not terrible. I just definitely wanted one small meal.
Have you ever experimented with intermittent fasting?
I accidentally do it every single day, pretty much. When there's a lot of snacks in our office, I do it less, but I don't love eating breakfast. Like I said, I'm not a big breakfast person. Yeah. And so unless it's a weekend, I'm probably not going to seek out breakfast.
Okay.
And so after dinner, I usually have a small snack at like 9 p.m, but then usually I don't eat until after we record.
Okay.
So it's usually about 1 p.m.
Yeah,
when
you are basically doing intermittent fasting.
Yeah. I don't stand behind any of the science behind it because I don't know the science behind it. So I'm not going to blindly stand behind it.
Yeah.
But I unintentionally do it pretty much every day. Do you?
No, but it definitely seems like the I don't know if it's the hottest like quote unquote diet trend, but it definitely seems to be one that is very in vogue right now.
Some people like do it with like you can only eat within the 8-minute window or 8-hour window, and so it's like you can eat from noon to 8 p.m. at night, and they have like timers and stuff. If I actually thought that it was helping me that much, I could see myself maybe going down that road, but I'm just not into it enough, and I'm not doing it intentionally enough to actually do the intermittent fasting, to actually like hold myself accountable and say, no, Will, don't have that Girl Scout cookie at 10:30 p.m. because I'm likely to have a Girl Scout cookie at 10:30 p.m.
Yeah, I got a sweet tooth, man. I'm definitely hitting up the freezer for the ice cream stash at like 10:30, 10:45.
My sweet tooth is what gets me in trouble. I think if it wasn't for my sweet tooth, I think I would have a relatively healthy diet, but the amount of sweets that I crave every single day is very concerning.
I was disappointed to not hear about Kenny G's favorite dessert.
I know.
That's really the one thing that was missing from this.
Well, speaking of desserts,
GQ write-up.
I've gone out to dinner twice in the past week. And both times we've done something that we normally don't do. And maybe we were more in a celebratory mood or maybe not. But it made me wonder, how often are you ordering dessert at dinner, Barrett?
So I don't have a good like ballpark percentage for you. I really just have a breakdown of like the type of meal / dinner that it is.
Okay.
Like, are we hitting a relatively nice restaurant on a weekend night where we've gotten dressed and are doing something fun, or is this like a meal on a weeknight out of necessity because we're not cooking?
This is a meal that
And
is
so
that
you know
you've
what I
been
mean?
looking forward to for a couple days on the calendar after the reservation was made. You're like, ooh, I'm looking forward to Saturday at this place.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'm differentiating between those two things. If it's the one that you're talking about, probably 90% of the time.
We've just gone down this dessert road and I've been loving it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're creating an experience, essentially, like if you're having drinks, you're getting apps, you're doing the whole thing, you're at a place that you're excited about, you gotta shut it down with a little bit of something sweet.
We decided to do something interesting the other day. We were both very full from our pasta dinner that we had had.
Okay.
And we both definitely wanted dessert, as the cheesecake on the menu looked absolutely delightful. And so we decided that instead of eating it at the restaurant, we would get a dessert to go and eat it like 2 hours later.
Okay.
And now it's a move that I think I'm just going to pull all the time. I'm like, if I can get it to go dessert that I can have sitting in my fridge, just waiting there for me.
Yeah.
And then I can do that lumber from the bed at, 11 p.m. and be like, all right, I'm going to eat this cheesecake.
That really is a pro move. It's also that move. Like I was going to say, like, I also feel like ordering dessert at a restaurant is something that you kind of grow into.
Yes.
I definitely do it more now than I did when I was 25. No question about it.
Yes.
Right. The move that you're now describing, that's like an even more advanced and even older move.
That's an old person move. It's an old person move, getting the dessert to go so
Because
you can eat it later.
That means you're definitely not doing anything after dinner.
Correct. Yeah, you're not bringing your doggy bag to the bars.
No, yeah. You are getting right back in your car and you're driving straight home.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, I just showed my cards there a little bit. Yes,
Yeah.
I am 35 years old. And yes, I go to bed at 10 o'clock every night.
Yeah.
Sorry. In lieu of an ad for today's episode, let's talk briefly about the Sunday Scaries scented candles, which you can get at velebox.com/Sunday Scaries. Right now, there are 4 different scents available. We got the traditional Sunday Scaries scent that just so many people enjoy in their panic rooms. But then we also have the panic room one, which is a very soothing scent. Got a little powder, amaretto, some tonka bean in there, a little rum, Barrett. Then we also have one that's available in 8 or 16 ounces, the 2-day hangover. The most popular candle. I was not expecting that when I got the report last that 2-day hangover is going to be soaring above the rest, but people apparently very much like it.
2-day hangover.
It's a very fresh scent, I will
Okay.
say, and that was intentional. I wanted people to be able to lay in their bed watching The Bachelor on Monday night and light that candle up and feel like they had a little relaxation. And then there's my personal favorite, rom-com, which is fir, cypress, plum, saffron, spice, cinnamon, wood, incense. To shop all of these, head over to velebox.com/Sunday Scaries. They're about $24 each. And there's also a brand new 16-ounce 2-day hangover one that's a little more expensive, but the burn time on this thing's about 80 hours. Highly recommend doing it. I left one lit, and I don't normally recommend doing this ever because you should not leave a candle lit in your apartment without being there. But I let one go for a long time, one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
It lasted straight up forever. When I came back, I was like, oh, I should not have left that lit. But now I know that this will burn for a very, very long time.
Yes.
Again, velebox.com/Sunday Scaries. Go check it out. Barrett, I've sent you some photos. I was perusing today, looking for a couple topics to talk about on today's retail therapy. And I got distracted by looking at some photos from London Fashion Week.
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep track of when fashion weeks are. I always assume that there's like fall, you have New York and whatever. When's Paris Fashion Week? Wasn't it recent?
It was. I believe it was recently. They when they do happen, and honestly, I should know better than I do. It's a timetable that has kind of like many designers have tried to subvert it recently.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where like Tom Ford or whoever else was like, or Burberry maybe was like, we're gonna show, and then that's the season. You'd be able to buy it like the next day, and then that kind of got tossed out the window. And then COVID hit, and like,
what did COVID do to fashion weeks?
It kind of killed it for like 2 years, basically,
Yeah.
or at least a year and a half. So I feel like the schedule has kind of gotten thrown out of whack. But if I'm not mistaken, it's February and September are the two months where it has historically happened, and it typically happens in succession. So it's like New York followed by Paris, followed by Milan, followed by London.
By no means was I seeking out London when it came to today's episode. It just happened to be the most recent thing on there.
Yeah.
But I pieced together I was going through, there had to have been 50 photos on this, but I pieced together 9 in some categories that I just wanted to really pick your brain about.
Am I looking at the right thing here?
You are.
Yeah. Okay.
You are.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see. Yes, you did piece these together. I've got multiple frames within each one of these files.
Yes, there's 3 different looks we're going to go through today.
Photoshop whiz over here, Will.
Yeah, I like to dabble in Photoshop. Our first one is checkered everything.
Yeah.
I've been, as you guys know, if you've been listening to Retail Therapy, I'm going through a skate phase, and a very major part of the skate aesthetic has always been the checkered Vans. I've always wanted a pair. I know that I could wear them with pretty much anything and, look fine, but I just haven't wanted to spend the $60 on a pair of checkered Vans yet. It's just not something I'll wear that much. Now I'm going through all these Fashion Week photos, and this was the trend that I saw the most of in all these photos, and it was all checkers.
Yeah. This is, it's honestly not something I feel like I've seen a ton of in women's, but this has been bubbling on the men's side for several years now, and obviously like the Vans, checkerboard pattern, especially as rendered on the slip-on, is like kind of an all-time classic, a shoe that many people would say never really goes out of style. Mm-hmm. But like last year I picked up a fleece from Saturdays that's in like a green and white checkerboard that has like some icons kind of bandied about. And then I actually noticed in the ALD drop 1 there was a very similar green and white checkerboard on like I want to say like a Terry Leisure shirt.
Yes, this sounds familiar.
So it's definitely popping. What I like here on these women's street style photos, at least on 2 of the 3, is how it's been kind of exploded.
Yes, I think that the large checkers are much more pleasing to me than the small ones at this point. The small ones almost feel more old fashioned, whereas like the more blown up checkered look looks to me more almost like a piece of furniture or something. Like, I don't know. It's more of like a statement to me than the other checkers.
It definitely feels more modern. And at a large scale like this, you get really more of like a color blocking.
Yes.
Perception instead of the kind of the tightly knit, like, checkerboard type thing. Like you're looking at a chessboard here on the far left. This also, when it's smaller like this and in the kind of, tight pattern like that, it feels more skate punk, Avril Lavigne 2001 vibe.
It feels harder to wear.
Yeah.
It feels like for someone like me who often tries to seek out things that might be like slimming, a little more, I don't know what the word would be, just flattering in general. I feel like I'd be much more likely to go with something more color blocking, like the 2 on the left here, just the larger format ones, as opposed to the smaller, just because I don't know why. It's just a self-conscious part of me.
Yeah. Yeah. These exploded checkerboard patterns are great. And I mean, like, I can't quite tell if these are in like a faux fur or if they're fleece.
It almost looks fleece to me.
But definitely the kind of the high pile stuff like this, the shaggy texture, the big coat, definitely feels very now. Cool.
I guess the next 2 are kind of in the same big coat vein. The next one that I put together was, okay, yeah, let's go into the plaid. I know big plaid coats were big 3 years ago.
Yeah,
when people really started wearing them.
That was one of the first kind of like bits that we ever ran with on Club Cool. Is the BPCs, the big plaid coats.
And I'm kind of amazed that they're still getting worn at this rapid of a clip. Like the amount of people in photos, and this was mainly guys. I feel like a lot of the women in these photos were wearing a lot of the checkered stuff or a lot of loud patterns, whereas the guys were still very much wearing a lot of the plaid, which I have still yet to dive into something like this. I do like more minimal clothes, which is probably a fault of mine more than it is a good thing. But I haven't found anything that's that plaid and that loud that I'm like, okay, I can wear this and feel really good about it.
Yeah, the coat over here on the left with the double-breasted, functionality and the really wide lapels, that coat is not necessarily something that I would say is like currently in style.
Yeah, but maybe just the way that this guy wears it, he makes it look
this
good.
Dude has very, very unique style, but I think the reason that these have stayed relevant, like overall, is because 5 years ago, 3 years ago, they were kind of being worn in a little bit more of like a little bit more of the urban way, like kind of the urban Brooklyn woodsman type thing that was going on for a long time. But now prep has entered the equation, like really very strongly again. and that's kind of like their original heritage is British tartans and big houndstooth checks, and like they feel very waspy and preppy.
You
so
see,
I think they've just maintained relevance.
The guy on the right here has it over like a very aggressively patterned suit, which is, I mean, I think it's a cool look. It's one that I would be very gun shy with, but a lot of the photos from the slideshow it was just people layering stuff that I would be so scared to layer just because it's so loud. But that's what makes all these people look so much cooler than what I would look like.
One of the things that these photos, and man, it really feels like it's been a long time since I've seen Fashion Week street style photos, so it's fun to see these again.
I know I think that's why I was so into it. I was like, I feel like we don't get these anymore.
What I'm picking up is that like peacocking for Fashion Week is back, because like you're saying, that's always been the thing with these things. Is if when you're in the city for Fashion Week, if you want to potentially get snapped by a street style photographer, you got to stand out. You can't just be wearing like all the stuff that fits you best and is some varying shade of black, navy, or olive. You gotta show out, and that means lots of layers and something kind of funky, whether that's color or pattern or the way that you have everything on. So like this dude on the left that we're mentioning with the gigantic plaid, double-breasted, wide-lapelled suit or top coat has it on over a plaid sport coat, a bright green tipped cricket sweater, and then like a 70s style shirt with a ginormous collar. Like this is
ginormous collar.
This dude didn't just like, he got dressed to get photographed and almost nothing else.
Yes. Yes. I mean, so do you, I don't know what caused this for me. It's not something I ever did before. It's not something I've ever really cared about, but it's been really good background for me lately. Have you ever heard of the Unknown Vlogs on YouTube?
No.
He's got almost 1 million subscribers. And all this guy does is walk around fashionable cities and fashionable areas. And he just asks people like, what are you wearing? Break it down for me. And it takes about 60 seconds for him to go through each person.
Okay.
Each vlog that he does is like 10 minutes, 11, 12, max 15. And they all get 2 million views. They all get like a ton of views, but it's just him with a small camera, just going through people.
Okay.
And it's become a very relaxing thing for me to have on in the background. You hear the noise of the city. You hear people talking kind of excitedly, also a little coyly about the things that they're wearing. And it's just kind of a different way of kind of seeing street interviews. And I love it. It's just very interesting. The last one that I watched had Willem Dafoe randomly in it. And he was going through it. And you could see how coy he was when he was like, yeah, I think this sweater's Prada. It's like, yeah, we get it. You're Willem Dafoe. You're allowed to have very expensive clothing. The next one that we had was one that it's a look that I've been liking on people, but it's a look that I don't think I can ever complete. And this is Varsity Jackets. And is that the correct term for this right now?
Yes. Yes.
It's your classic leather varsity jacket, or sorry, like whatever it is, wool on along the chest and on the core, leather sleeves, patches everywhere. You can see it here.
You nailed it. It's a varsity jacket, and especially like the three that you pulled are there's some kind of like blends where you kind of like combine a bomber and a varsity, but these especially all have what you're talking about. It's the wool bodice, leather sleeve, and then almost most importantly is like the collegiate style like patches.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And you saw it in the new ALD stuff. They had two that came out. They're a little more minimalistic than these are on the screen now. But those will run you about $800. I think just from a price point perspective, a lot of these are going to be intimidating for a large percentage of people.
Yeah. This is a popular enough item that you should be able to find quite a range. I've been evangelizing for them quite a bit recently, but like Abercrombie and Fitch is crushing it
Barrett,
now.
I just ordered 3 t-shirts from Abercrombie and Fitch, and I'm very excited for this package to come in.
Yeah. And they have something very similar. I think it's missing a lot of the patches, but it might be like a faux leather on the sleeves, but dude, vegan leather has come a long way. We talked about that on Club Cool last year at some point. And so there's definitely a way to get into this trend without dropping a rack. But yeah, this is another one. This is actually another one that I find really interesting because, and again, I think it's tied to that kind of like the resurgence of East Coast prep.
Yeah.
Because 5-6 years ago, Off-White was doing these. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like the Heron Preston and Hood by Air and like like they were being shown in far more kind of like streetwear settings.
Yeah.
And they maybe went away for a year or two, but they are definitely back in full force. And I think they're just being styled in a much different way this time around.
I think the styling's like paramount when it comes to this too, because if you style it incorrectly, you look like a dude who is having trouble letting go of your high school days.
Yeah, right.
If you do it correctly, you look like probably the coolest dude in the restaurant.
Yeah. And I think you can kind of see some variations of it here, but like dude on the left is kind of combining it with like a Western look, almost gravitates into that like concrete cowboy thing that you and I talked about a couple of months ago. But then otherwise, you're just the ALD piece of it is falls more into the normcore or bookcore way, where it feels very collegiate as opposed to more a little bit more street or modern.
Yeah, yeah. Either way, it's a look that I'm probably going to be very much enjoying from afar.
Yeah.
I just don't see myself, especially now that we're about to be months and months away from even thinking about buying jackets.
That's right.
So I'm really trying not to get too excited. I've done something I normally when we're at this point in the season, I start buying things that are on sale that I've been looking at for the last few months.
Yep.
This year I've tried to change my entire dynamic with myself, and I've been buying new stuff that's coming out that is a staple that I can wear through the summer and feel good about it, as opposed to doing it backwards, which I've been doing for way too long.
Well, as you know, as a self-proclaimed shopping addict, I guess I do a little bit of both, unfortunately. But I will say it feels really good to buy things for now. And I know that's like part of like our just culture in general, right? Like we all want the instant gratification of like getting something in and being able to wear it. But like buying stuff that, but like there's something that's also extremely satisfying about knowing you want something so bad that you're just willing to pay full price for it right now, get it in and wear it immediately.
Yes.
It's very like, it's just a very satisfactory, thing all around. Don't get me wrong. A very smart way to shop, especially for people that are like building out a wardrobe that they want to refresh or add to, or like make sure that they have something for next fall or winter. Absolutely. You got to do some of the sale shopping right now. But like you're saying, it's also really, it's a nice feeling to shop for now too.
I've been trying to get some staples in my wardrobe lately, especially for warm weather. It's something that I haven't been very good about. It's something I've always put off until I actually need the stuff in the summer, and then I just try to ride out the summer. This year, I have bought two things on sale from a company that has probably gotten a little uptick in popularity lately because of ALD, which is Drake's. They had a sale email go out recently, and I bought two shirts from them, both on pretty deep discount, that were linen short sleeve camp collar shirts that I know I can wear in Austin, and I will probably still sweat through them, but I'll do it comfortably. But I bought those two, and like they have both come in the mail recently, and I cannot, like, now I'm actually looking forward to the warm weather so I can go out and wear these new shirts that I'm replacing my 6-year-old Bonobos shirts with. I'm like, I need to stop wearing these other things. And so I've made those two upgrades. I've thrown out my old linen shirts and I've ushered in the new regime, and I could not be more excited for a little bit of warm weather. And I will regret saying that at some point in the near future.
Most likely. Yeah.
Before we get out of here today, I think we also need to talk about a little bit of Sunday television. There's been a lot going on in the TV world lately, from trash television to prestige television. Barrett, on a Sunday afternoon, or a Sunday night even, obviously there's a lot of HBO stuff that is going to come out that's going to tickle your fancy.
Yep.
Do you lean more prestige television on a lazy Sunday, or more trash television?
Oh, man. So it really, really does depend. I don't know if you've heard this, but vibes, they're constantly shifting.
They're always shifting.
So take, for example, the prestige show that just ended on HBO, Euphoria. That is not a Sunday night show for me. Now, I did watch the finale on Sunday night because I had to be part of the conversation.
The only episode that I watched on Sunday night this year was the finale.
Yep, exactly.
I could not bring myself to do the others.
Exact same. But the rest was nah. I'm gonna save that for like a Monday or Tuesday. But Succession, I'm watching that shit on Sunday night, like
correct,
as soon as I can.
Big facts.
So, so when the show is a little darker, a little scarier, a little whatever, whether that's Euphoria or Yellow Jackets, that's less, something like that. Like those are less Sunday night shows, and we're going more into the trash land.
Yellow Jackets is Prime, right?
Showtime.
Showtime.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Need a Showtime. Need a Showtime login. See, I think I would like to fancy myself as a prestige person, but my resume lately has just gone in the direction of trash
Yeah.
on just a whole new level. I mean, everyone knows I'm a longtime Love Island stan. I've been enjoying it all through quarantine and through now. I've even gone back now and have started rewatching old seasons that I've already seen just because I want something relaxed to fall asleep to, and it's working wonders. But like you're a you're a Too Hot to Handle person.
Yeah, so you're a Love is Blind guy on Netflix. I'm a Too Hot to Handle guy on Netflix.
I don't know if I'm a Love is Blind guy. I decided out of just complete boredom and tired necessity that I would start season 2 without ever knowing what the show is really even about. And what I realized very soon is that it's such an unbelievable concept to me that I almost don't even want to entertain it.
So I think that's a good way to describe like my biggest hang up with it, right? With all these reality television shows, we have to suspend some level of disbelief.
Yes.
We know that there are strings being pulled and producers at work and control rooms and crazy people that signed up for them in the first place, right? But like the idea that you are going to essentially force yourself to fall in love with somebody that you are talking to through like, you know, an opaque screen.
Yes.
Is just complete bullshit.
And then you're going to go to a resort with them and you're going to meet them for the first time. And like some of these people are just like not sexually attracted to their partner, which, you know, I think that's an understandable thing. Like you can't force that. And especially if you're going to marry them, like if there's ever a time to say, hey, not sexually attracted, it's probably before you get married. But it's a show that I really am having trouble even finishing because it's so unreal to me that we're trying to take it seriously in some way. And maybe we're not, but every TikTok I see these days is either somebody being like, oh, why aren't we talking about how Rue owes $10,000 to somebody? Valid question.
Yeah.
Or it's a clip from Love is Blind being like, this guy's an idiot. And I've enjoyed all of that content, but like, it's all I see these days.
So I was having this conversation with somebody recently, and I think that you know, I certainly understand the interest in Love is Blind, and I really enjoy Too Hot to Handle, and I have completely extricated myself from Bachelor Nation at this point, except for my new thing going forward is I'm only doing Paradise.
That's a great way to operate, Barrett.
Right, and I was trying to just like think about why I was so frustrated and tired with The Bachelor, and the best thing to do is like look at these other shows that have capitalized on the personalities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are fun shows because you get to know the crazy people that are falling in love through a screen or trying not to hook up with other sexy people. Like they spend the time, and that's something that Bachelor used to do. They used to like invest in the people that were going to go far or in the lead himself.
Yes.
And they are so committed to just like the manufactured drama and like the chatter that they get from all that they no longer develop characters. They no longer develop personalities. And so by the time you get to the last 4 episodes, it's the most boring shit on earth because you don't give a shit anymore.
Correct.
And that
could not be more correct.
That is what these other shows, and I haven't watched Love Island, but I gotta assume that something similar is happening here, where you start really, really liking the people that you're watching.
Yes.
Maybe in spite of yourself.
Yes. That's why it's good.
Yeah.
The Bachelor, you can tell now the reason that The Bachelor is falling off now. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Whether, you know, you can attribute it to social stuff and the Chris Harrison stuff.
Sure.
But from an entertainment value alone, the reason that I think The Bachelor is not doing as well is because every situation that they are put in is a manufactured situation.
Yeah.
I know that like Love is Blind or Love Island or what's the premise of Too Hot to Handle?
So the premise of Too Hot to Handle is they get a mixed group of guys and girls together who think they are on like a sexy dating show.
Okay.
And then once they've all met each other and like started to like form attractions and all that, they are informed that they are actually on Too Hot to Handle and they are not allowed to hook up with each other.
Okay.
Otherwise they lose money from the giant pool of money.
Do they have cameras on them?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And that's in terms of reality television, that's a necessity at this point. The only time that people on The Bachelor...
That's a good point. I have not made that connection. You're right.
The only time people are on screen on The Bachelor is when they're like, hey, go sit in that lobby room in the hotel. We're going to bring some cameras and you guys are going to talk about last night.
Yep.
I don't care about those situations. What the entertainment value for me is the behind the, not like I say behind the scenes, but it's the casual banter that you have.
Living together.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I know that Love Island's tough to do for people because it's so many episodes, but that's why it's entertaining, because you see these people existing as opposed to them constantly thinking that they're on camera. Because I mean, I don't care what you say. If you are getting taped for weeks on end and you're constantly mic'd up 6 days a week like they are in Love Island, you're eventually going to just act natural and you're going to default to your baseline personality and you're not going to be putting on a show for the cameras. And if you do, you'll get sniffed out pretty quick. And I just think that The Bachelor is never going to be as entertaining because you have these canned situations, whereas Bachelor in Paradise, you do have the people hanging out all the time, even though it's probably a little more structured than other shows.
It is, but the fact that there is more, there are more opportunities to see people how they actually would be, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like with Love is Blind, you have these people that are being taped for however many weeks it is before. But I mean, they have a lot of footage to trudge through before they can put it out to the world. And that's a good thing. Like they're not just taking the canned situations and taking that footage and going with it. They're taping everything. And it's just great. I saw on Twitter, you said, what's your, at Barrett Dudley on Twitter?
Yeah.
I saw you had a very, in my opinion, correct take that the final 2 episodes of Euphoria this season were the best 2 episodes. You also had the correct question of how Rue is getting away with stealing thousands of dollars worth of drugs from a very savage drug dealer.
Which was an original tweet, but I of course acknowledge that lots of people had the same question.
Yeah, I mean, I had the question, then I thought to myself, did I fall asleep for 5 minutes and not know what happened?
Yeah.
I actually thought that the penultimate episode of this season, when it was just straight up Lexi's play, was probably my favorite episode of Euphoria to date. I thought it was such an entertaining episode, maybe not for the Euphoria reasons that you're usually entertained by, but it was just wonderful. And unfortunately for me, I get super uncomfortable when people sing in a room to a very small crowd. So when the song happened in the finale, I pretty much just picked up my phone and plugged my ears until it ended. I couldn't watch him singing.
Wait, you couldn't watch Ethan?
Yes.
Do that was in the penultimate.
It was in the penultimate?
Where he does the football locker room one?
No. I'm talking about the guitar song. I'm not thinking.
When Dominic Fike does the little, okay.
I hated it. It made my skin crawl. I was like, stop singing. Like, if I was Zendaya in that scenario, I don't think I would have been able to tape that with him actually doing it. I would have been like, no, everyone needs to clear the room and I'll cry on camera.
It's funny that you say that, because I always like to think about like the production behind things and like how they do shoot something like that. And I was sitting there wondering, like, I bet they had a camera on Zendaya's face for this full 5 minutes, and they were like, just react to him singing to you.
Yeah.
And then it did cross my mind. I was like, or did they just put a camera on her like an hour later and then just be like, hey,
cry,
do some crying stuff. Now seem kind of like wistful. Yeah. Okay, now a little bit sadder. Okay, now kind of you see the shining beacon of hope. Okay, got it.
Yep, we're good. Perfect.
But yeah, look, the play was awesome. I mean, I know that like I'm a huge like musical fan. Like I love musicals. I love plays. Like I did a lot of theater when I was growing up. So that just hit all the buttons for me.
Yes.
I loved that we got to see more of Lexi this season. And I know that there was a lot of backlash about the fact that like Kat kind of like fell off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
But look, this show is only 8 episodes a season. There's not enough screen time for as many characters as they have on the show. And she kind of got Lexi kind of subbed in for Kat this season is basically what happened. And I know that kind of sucks, but like, I'm sure that Kat will be back next season with more plot, more story.
I had a hesitation with Maude Apatow just purely based on nepotism. Like my preconceived notion of her in this
hard not to think about it with her.
Yeah. It's like, at the end of the day, your last name is Apatow and we all know who your dad is.
Yep.
And I feel bad saying that, but going into this season, I didn't really care about her in the show at all. After, I think it was the first episode where she's talking to Fez the entire time.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, she just like skyrocketed my rankings of Euphoria characters, and she did such a great job the entire season that now I'm like, okay, I'm invested in the Lexi storyline.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of chatter online about how she's probably going to be like she and Rue are younger than the rest of the cast in terms of the scope of the show. A lot of them are seniors in the show and they are a year younger.
Got it.
And so I think they're kind of saying that they're doing some investment in her character because she's best friends with Rue.
Okay.
I don't know what I mean, you can talk about the behind the scenes drama of some of the characters and why they've gotten kind of axed from it. I don't know how true those reports
I have
are.
not heard any of those rumors actually, so
I just
I'll
heard
have to.
some things. Like I heard one girl was disagreed with on politics with the director, and she got axed. I heard that what's her name, Ferreira.
Barbie Ferreira.
Barbie Ferreira.
Cat,
I
that's
heard that
Cat,
she
yeah.
didn't want to do an eating disorder storyline, and then they got mad at her.
Okay.
But again, these are all like they're rumors that I don't know how much truth there is to it. But I'm like, yeah, it is kind of weird that they just got rid of her character pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, and I totally like. I totally understand those complaints. The one thing, and I think I said this to Laura like after episode 3 or 4. This might be the most auteur-driven show I've ever watched, and that like it is written, created, directed, all by Sam Levinson. He is the only person that is like a creative presence on the show, and he just does whatever he wants. He just lets his mood and his vibe take him wherever he wants to go, and he spends really long amounts of time on stuff that you might not think matters that much, and then he just kind of like breezes over some stuff that maybe you think should matter more.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you don't have like a full-blown writer's room. But like Euphoria has never been about cohesive narrative storytelling.
Correct. Can you and can you imagine the logistics behind doing the play and juxtaposing that with the actual things going on in the show and the amount of work that it would take to stage some of those shots? It like gave me a headache just thinking about the amount of production that would go into something like that, and just the amount of like reshoots or whatever it could be. It's just the amount that goes into that show is a lot. And like you said, I do kind of understand how they would not forget about, but gloss over certain things that might just not matter in the long run in his creative vision for the show. TV. I could talk about TV forever. We're going to end this episode like we end every episode. We're going to add a couple things to our wish list. You want me to start off, Barrett?
I do. I would like you to start off. Yes.
I'm starting off with something in a realm that I have not done yet, but being as though we started off with food today, I tried to think of something that I need to add to my kitchen. And being that I've been going through a big dumpling phase lately, I've decided that we need a dumpling steamer basket. Up to this point, we've been big Trader Joe's dumplings people. I know that that's not traditional, and I know that some people might scoff at that. I'm going to ride for Trader Joe's dumplings, and I will not get off that train.
Okay.
You can do it in the microwave. They don't come out as good. You can do it in a steamer basket, and they taste amazing. What we don't have currently is a good steamer basket. And so I have added to my wish list a $19 Williams-Sonoma steamer basket. I'm by no means tied to this one. So if anyone out there has any suggestions for one that they like or one that might be a little more practical, I'm all ears. But for $20, if I can up my dumpling game for the rest of the time, I'm going to do that.
So here's where I'm at on things like steamer baskets. I love this. I love the call. I would like to be able to steam my own dumplings at home. I got no room for the steamer basket. Where's it go? All my. Dude. I feel like I'm already at peak appliance.
I think everyone is like this. Our panware lazy Susan cupboard thing is a war zone. Yeah. Like, I mean, it is if my son is asleep in the other room and I need to get a pan from the back of that, I'm probably getting takeout at that point. I'm like, no, I'm running the risk of waking him up by just clanking a million different pans together. But I just think that if I can upgrade one thing in terms of the things that we eat often now, I gotta upgrade my dumplings.
Are you eating dumplings like once a week?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm even doing it like for quick lunches at this point. I'm like, you know what? I need some quick calories in me before I go get hangry somewhere. I'm just going to rip these dumplings in the microwave real quick and eat them.
Yeah.
I either burn my mouth or I don't cook them enough every single time, but that's a me problem. So yeah, I think I'm going to get more deep in the dumpling game. And I'd also like to actually start trying to make them at some point in my life.
I was just about to say, once you have the steamer basket, now you got to start like making your own dough and learning how to do the little crimps. And
I know.
This is tracking very, just perfectly with your Japanese breakfast though.
I know, right? Like I've been trying to take a lot from the Japanese culture. Sally asked me the other day, like if COVID didn't happen and we could have traveled anywhere in the world, where would you have gone? No questions asked. And I said, Japan. That's all where I've wanted to go for a long time now. That we have a son, our chances of going there are just absolutely plummeting. But I've had some friends go there recently that just spoke so highly of their time there. I just really want to do it. And I think that I am trying to draw some stuff from there. I also like the other day I was taking a nice little steam shower and I tossed on the speaker and I just did some zenned out like Japanese, I think it was called Japanese morning snow or something like that. And I was like, this is the perfect relaxation music for a steam shower right now.
What is you know, like you can be a Francophile if you're like big into French culture and an Anglophile if you like English. There's got to be, I'm sure there's a term for that with
like a Japanese enthusiast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
What
They say Japanophilia is a thing.
Well, that doesn't. Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess Francophilia, Anglophilia.
Yeah, it says Japanophilia. This is from Wikipedia. So
well,
I don't.
Producer Randy had a weeb. Is that? Are you making us? You're not making.
You're making me worried that we're going to get canceled for this. That sounds derogatory. Barrett, what's on your wish list?
Oh, damn it! Yeah, it's yeah. We apologize for the use of that word. It is. I just searched it and it does say it's derisive.
Yeah, you can't use that.
So sorry, I've never heard that. We got to cancel Producer Randy instead. Well, I'm going. Last week I went sheets. I got to go back to my MO here with clothing and accessories. First, I wanted to tell you what it was on the top of my wish list. You and we'll be in Las Vegas together this weekend for Dylan's bachelor party. And look, it's been a while since I've been on a trip like this, and I was like, I don't know what like going out clothes look like anymore at this point for myself.
I know what going out clothes look like in Austin because it's a very dressed down city and we can pretty much wear whatever we want wherever we want. Yep. But in Las Vegas, I have no clue what to wear out.
Yeah, and I know exactly what I would have worn 4 years ago. Right, I had a very specific style for this type of thing. I don't have that anymore. It's kind of faded out of favor in my wardrobe. And this is something that has been on my wish list for about a year now, but I was like, but Vegas would be the perfect place for this. I ended up not being able to find one in like my size at a price I liked, et cetera, et cetera. But I really wanted a leather blazer.
Oh, I would have loved it if you showed up with a leather blazer. That would have been perfect. Were you going to go actual leather, or were you going to go with the vegan leather that we previously talked about?
I'm on the vegan leather train.
I'm fine with that.
And here's why I think I'm so sold on it, because there are so many brands, and I mean like high end brands, the type that are only carried on Essence and Mr. Porter, right? Mm-hmm. That are doing, if not exclusively, mostly vegan leather.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I can't tell the difference, then I don't care.
And I think it's all part of like, one, the technology has gotten much better, and they're able to replicate it to a really nice degree. And don't get me wrong, there's no substitute for really like high quality leather.
There's not. But like when it comes to like a wallet or something, I feel less guilty having a wallet in like real genuine leather that smells amazing and stuff like that. If I had a full on blazer, I think I would feel guilty every time I wore that.
You'd feel guilty, and I mean, and then you're spending a lot more for a piece that's like very clearly like a trend piece. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I was looking for the one that I had kind of circled in on. Was I can't remember what the brand was, but it was a vegan one. I couldn't find it in my size. So I don't have anything that's just, I wanted to share that. So instead I'll just go to like the top of my current wish list. Another kind of trend piece. Have you been aware of like dudes wearing pearls?
No.
Over the last couple of years.
Pearl snaps?
No, like, yeah, well, those too. But
no, you're talking like,
like Bieber and Harry Styles.
They're doing pearls?
Those types of dudes have been A$AP Rocky. They all been wearing pearls.
He can wear whatever he wants.
Couple of years. Well, I decided that pearls that's like too much of a stretch for me, just like a full on pearl necklace. But John Elliott has been doing collaborations with a Japanese jewelry maker called Mars. And they just recently released these necklaces that are half pearl and half like turquoise bead.
Okay.
And the pearls are really small, so they don't have like the kind of like, traditional giant pearl ball.
This is much more approachable than what I was imagining.
Than you kind of think of. Yeah.
I was imagining like a guy going into his sorority girlfriend's like, thing and busting that out.
Well, and the guys like Harry and A$AP Rocky have done some of that. Like where it looks, like those classic pearls that you'd see on the country club model.
Those two fall into a category of people that like, it doesn't matter what they wear. Not. If it's masculine or feminine, they're going to look really good in it. And they're going to blur those lines more than like someone like little old Will over here.
Yes. So the trend has finally like reached a place with this necklace where I'm like, okay, this is my version of it.
I think that's a good compromise.
I really like I really like beaded stuff anyway. And so the combination where you kind of get like a little half and half and you get like a little wabi sabi asymmetric type thing going on here. This is near the top of my wish list right now.
I'm into it, and I can see this working very well with a lot of things that you wear.
Yeah, this is a little bit more my speed than the gold as well. And so this is what I got my eye on.
I love it. Well, Barrett, another one in the books. Did you have fun today?
Felt great.
Either way, whether you enjoy this or not, we appreciate your support.
I hope if you're still listening,
I know.
An hour in.
Yeah, you're an hour in. Figure it out. Go check it out on youtube.com/washmedia if you want to see all the stuff we were talking about. The second half of this episode was obviously very heavy on a lot of visual stuff. So if you are so inclined, go check out the video there, subscribe there. And yeah, any closing thoughts, Barrett?
Man, I am taking it that you're this far in, you do love it, and for that I really appreciate it, and thank you for listening. This has been a great outlet to talk about all sorts of just awesome stuff that I love, and so I'm happy to be here and happy to be doing this.
It's turned into one of my favorite recordings of the week, and that is for sure. Is that all she wrote?
That's all she wrote.
Let's get out of here.